The topic today is, does your functional automation really add value? And that is really strange question probably you might be thinking coming from me. I've been in the quality space for more than 20 years, major focus on automation, doing everything that I can to help build a quality product. And a lot of that has been from the technical side, how I can help out. I'm also part of the Selenium conference committee. I do open source related to automation again. So again, this question is very important to me, why I'm asking this. What I'm hoping to do is have these questions seep into your mind and you think about it consciously when you go back and you're just going through whatever you have heard about today. Think about it and really try and answer it from your context. Does automation really add value to you? Does your functional automation really add value in your project? And I say this because we think of automation as a silver bullet. We think automation is going to solve all the problems. It is going to make our speed faster. It is going to make our product quality faster. And yes, that's what the real intent of automation is, right? The value is in getting that faster feedback. It enables us to do CI/CD. It helps us to work with very interesting tools and technologies as well. So all that is given. But does it really add the value that you are expecting for it based on what you have seen and how you have worked? One other very interesting thing which I feel from a personal perspective, people might be thinking, and this I am trying to guess, don't beat me up if I'm wrong, but one of the reasons why people want to do automation is be a developer without having the pressure of sending the code to production. I want to code, but I don't care about practices or doing automation the right way. I just want to code. I'll copy code from here, there, do whatever it takes to make my test run. And who cares about this quality of code, because this code is not going to go in production. And that is just sad, because you are building code which is going to help build a product code. And that really should be of better quality, if not of the same quality as your product code itself. So riddle me this, right? Let me ask you a bunch of questions. And I have a lot of questions, so I did not bother setting up polls because it would have been too time consuming for this. But maybe you raise hands or whatever, doesn't really matter, but think very actively about these questions as I ask these. Let's start off. How are you really setting up the environment for running automation in your machine? Are you doing it manually, or do you have a script that is going to set up whatever dependencies, software that is required to get the automation running? Right answer, of course, is scripted setup. If not, we need to talk separately. Next question. Do your tests run in CI? Seems like a no-brainer. Why am I even asking this, right? You would be surprised by the type of answers that come up over here. And those who can spot a visual defect, I've put this the other way around intentionally. Okay, so if your tests are not running in CI, that's a sad thing. If the tests are running in CI, do they run automatically? Is it a manual trigger or is it an auto trigger? That means on any given occasion, if I want to run the test, I will go to the CI machine and I'll say, okay, run the test. So if it is an auto trigger, that means of any change that can that is pushed into the environment, whether it's a config change, DB change, product change, test code change, I want to run the test again to get the feedback. So auto trigger is important. Manual trigger, you will not get enough value from your tests. How long does it take to run your functional tests? And I really wish I had ability to get some answers from the audience over here. I don't know if you can put in comments. I'm quickly going to pause and look at the chat and see what type of answers you might be able to put up. How long does your functional automation suite run? Let's see, I'll count 10 in my mind. Otherwise, I'll proceed in interest of time. Okay, 20 minutes. Manoj doesn't count. You don't count, rather, your answers, you are different. But okay, we're getting interesting answers. 30 minutes for mobile test, 20 minutes, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1.5 hours. Great, these are good numbers. I've actually 8 hours. That's interesting. I've actually come across situations where teams have taken an overnight, the complete night when running the tests in parallel to get the build, the test execution completed. So that's more than 10, 12 hours when running in parallel. And that also happens just once a week for various different reasons. So if it is anywhere greater than 30 minutes, I would say that's a problem. 30 minutes also is a long time. And think about teams who are really working very efficiently, in a in a tight collaborative fashion, how they are able to do this, right? They can't wait to wait for a long time to get the feedback. So anything beyond a certain threshold, which means that team is going to get distracted, it is a problem from a feedback perspective. So let's move a little bit quickly now. So for multiple platforms, do you have the same test implementation, or do you copy the test to say, okay, this test is going to run on iOS, this is on Android, this is for web or whatever else? And if you have this duplicated test approach, then that's a problem. If you have a single test approach, that is a good way to proceed because that helps you do many more things with your framework. What is the test passing percentage? Again, the percentage does not really matter, but what really happens is why the test failing. Is it for any random failure that happens, or the tests are failing for specific issues only? And that's a very important state to have your automation in. Do you automatically rerun the failing tests? A lot of people are proud about our framework supports automatic reruns of failed tests. I'm sorry, that's not the right way to proceed because you're missing the point of automation. So that is important. How do you debug and get to the root cause of failures? Do you need to rerun the test, or do you have all the info available also in terms of logs, screenshots, video recordings, whatever it takes to just look at the information to figure out why the test has failed? That is important. If you think about patterns and dry principles, a lot of teams, people have asked a question, they say, okay, what are patterns, right? So again, wrong place to start. Automation is a technical activity. Think about how to do this correct. UI, UX, we already heard some great talks earlier today about what are different ways you can validate the layout and the visual aspects. You need to think about this. You cannot leave it to humans itself for verification. There's a lot of problem and a lot of things you'll miss out as a result. So there's a lot of chaos in this, right? A lot of questions. If any of these questions you've answered as no, or it's you're not doing it the right way, there is a limitation of what automation is doing for you, what it is capable of doing versus what value you're getting out of it. So what's the way forward? You spend all this way in your automation, but still your defects escape to production, functional or visual, does not matter, but defects escape. That is a problem. And these can cause a huge impact to your end users. So why does this happen? It's mainly because our approach to testing is incorrect. I believe. I strongly believe that we are just writing code for the sake of writing code. We're just testing for the sake of testing. We are not really thinking about how to do this correctly, how to do this efficiently. So the way forward is basically you need to think about how automation can really fit into the world of AI ML. It doesn't have to be powered by AI ML, but you have to think about that hyper collaboration that keeps happening, that is required, the fast feedback that is required, and how do you proceed from there. I had published an article in InfoQ a couple of years ago, and that spoke about the criteria for automation framework that you need to think about when you're building this. So have a read of that. I think it will give you some interesting tips out of that. Of course, the test pyramid introduced by Mike Cohn in his book, Succeeding with Agile. I believe it is more than 11, 13 years old, at least. We know about the pyramid as a concept, but we unfortunately do not understand it. It's just a concept that remains in mind. We like to talk about it, but we as team members do not do anything about making this pyramid into a reality. We still end up focusing on what our test is, and we implement based on that. Remember, the product quality is all aspects of automation that come into picture, unit tests, NFRs, everything that is there, along with the exploratory testing that you're doing on the product. And that is what combined together tells you what's the quality of the product. Look at the design patterns. There are a lot of commonly used design patterns in automation frameworks. Some of them are listed here. Strong suggestion, strong advice, do not use singleton unless you are very sure about it, because that again is going to prevent your framework from scaling to levels that you need to. Okay. Last bit is think about the architecture of the framework. The patterns naturally lead into the architecture. Evolve your framework into the different types of things that you would need to be doing in order to get a clear intent specified and efficient execution with the correct feedback coming back from it. Last bit, how do you measure the quality of your product? We all know about a lot of these different test metrics listed on the screens. Unfortunately, very few of them even add value, in my opinion. Think about metrics that actually indicate quality of the product and help you take decisions going forward, and not just because these are the metrics we are used to, or someone is asking for these metrics. That is a no-brainer in my opinion. And I strongly encourage you to think more deeply about these questions and hopefully come up with suggestions, ideas, how you can handle some of these situations to make your product quality better and get feedback from automation. Thank you very much.